Look guys, I've read hundreds of self-help books over the years, from anything to finance, to corporate business structures, to psychology, spirituality, manifestation. And the harsh truth is that 95% of books that you could pick up are going to be completely useless when it comes to helping you make your first $1 million. If you're truly trying to take control of your reality in 2024, you want to cut away from your boring life and live something intentional, something that you create where you're actually chasing your dreams every single day. And I'll be honest, your time is ticking. You need to get moving now. You need to get moving today. You guys do not have time to waste, so let me save you countless hours that I've spent reading useless books. So hopefully together we can cut down the time it's going to actually take you to make your first $1 million. So these are the 21 books that I can personally promise you are worth your time to read. Each of the books that I'm going to go over in this video are going to have a massive effect on your life. And when you finally make that first $1 million, you're going to be able to look back at these books and realize they were staple pieces in the journey of you making that money. So out of reading hundreds of books over the years, these are my top 21. Let's dive into it. The way that I'm going to break down this video is through going through 3 different categories of books. There are so many books that I would love to recommend to you, but you kind of have to earn your way up to being able to read that book and to truly understand it. There are some books that are very catered to people on this 0 to 1 journey where they're really starting to create themselves consciously. Then there's books that are for people that have millions of dollars, they've mastered themselves, they have teams, and it talks about things that they need to be utilizing at that way higher level. So all these books are going to be broken down into 3 categories. Like I said, the first one is 0 to 1, the second is 1 to 2, and the last is 2 to 3. I will also be explaining all of the books and letting you know if you're struggling with certain things, this is a big book you should focus on. So you can basically kind of breeze past some of the books that you don't think you need, but truly deep down, you should be reading all of these if you want to make your first $1 million online. It's going to be a long process and you need to have a proper foundation built. So let's dive into the first section. This is going to be the 0 to 1 books if you're just starting out your journey. So let's dive into the first book. This is going to be The Magic of Thinking Big. This is truly the perfect first step on your massive journey to making your first $1 million. The book is pretty easy to summarize based off the title. It's going to teach you how to actually think big, because if you want to live a big reality, you have to be thinking big. You have to be feeling big. You have to be believing big. So if you're someone that struggles with personal fears, doubts, discouragement, and you always seem to be getting in your own way and not really believing that you're worthy of success, or you're always thinking pessimistically and you don't think things are possible, then this book is absolutely massive. You truly cannot miss this one. This is something that all of my kids are going to be forced to read. Next, the second book on our 0 to 1 list is Think and Grow Rich. This book is now getting a little bit mainstream, but I promise you guys, this is one of my favorites on the entire list. It's extremely powerful and you absolutely cannot skip this one. Think and Grow Rich is going to dive deep into faith, spirituality, sexual transmutation, the subconscious mind, imagination, truly everything. It's going to show you the deeper level of reality and how you can utilize certain key things to get what you want out of life. This is a very metaphysical style book. The author, Napoleon Hill, was a pretty trippy dude. He wrote this in the 1930s, which is insane. This book is incredibly powerful, but I will be honest, it is kind of a preschool, kindergarten level understanding of some of these topics. And later in this video, I'm going to go over a book that really dives into this exact topic at a more college level. It's very hard to understand. It's very powerful. It's easily the most powerful book that I'm going to mention in this entire video, but we're saving that one for the end because you kind of need to build yourself up and earn the ability to read that book, in my opinion. Next, we have Psycho-Cybernetics. This one truly helped me with a lot of traumas that I went through, really breaking through a lot of mental issues that I had. I had a very hard past. This one is going to dive into the psyche of the mind, your thoughts, your perspective of yourself, and truly help you reprogram a new identity so you're not constantly self-sabotaging and you're not being bogged down by a mind that's basically your biggest enemy. Your mind can be either your biggest enemy or your best ally. So if your mental world is something you truly struggle with, this book is absolutely essential. I'd say it's essential for everyone, but especially if your mind is kind of working against you always, you really need this one. Number 4 on our 0 to 1 list is The Untethered Soul. Now, before I go into this one, I want to address that a lot of these videos are about mindset. They are about spirituality, and they're about things that you wouldn't think are that essential to make your first $1 million, right? The whole point of this video is to help you make your first $1 million. So you think I'd be talking about financial books or talking about certain things that are only focused on money. And I'll be completely honest, that's not really the focus. To make your first $1 million, you have to have a crystal clear identity and control over your emotions. And that is not something you're going to achieve through financial books. Honestly, it's basically the 80-20 rule. 80% of making money is about your inner world. It's going to be about how you think, because if you're not thinking big, if you're not believing in yourself, it doesn't matter what your actions are doing. You're never going to be able to truly attract that $1 million into your life. So working on yourself first is absolutely essential. It's like building the foundation of a skyscraper. If you want to build the tallest building in the world, you first have to dig down, which is extremely counterintuitive. You wanting to build the tallest thing. So why are you digging down? It's because you have to go to the inner world first. You have to build that foundation, and the deeper you go, that allows you to build higher. Just like the old saying goes, if a tree is tall enough to reach heaven, that means its roots are deep enough to go down to hell. So keep that in mind, guys. Working on yourself, doing these spiritual things, and reading these mindset books is going to be an essential process of the journey. You cannot skip it. With that being said, let's get into the Untethered Soul. What this book's going to do for you is allow you to view your thoughts and yourself, your mind, your body, your soul from a third perspective where you're kind of detached from ego. This is another book that is absolutely essential. My children are going to have to read. Next up on our list, number 5 is The Power of Now. This is going to help you understand that reality is truly only one singular moment that is constantly perpetuating over the future and in the past. If you're struggling with anxiety, this book is going to help you immensely. This is also another one my children are going to have to read. The best way to put this book is after reading it, you're never going to view reality the same again. That's easily the best way to explain this one. I feel like as business owners, as people that are really striving for stuff, we're always in the future, and that's why we have anxiety. Anxiety is a future-based emotion, so learning how to be in the present is going to help you immensely. Next up on our list is a fiction-based book. This is Celestine Prophecy. This is a fun read, so if you kind of struggle with reading, this one's going to be a lot easier for you to get through it. This book is incredibly powerful in its ability to help you understand the signs that you see in life, how to really understand your own intuition and direct your life through key decisions that you're going to be making. Constantly, your intuition, God, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, is speaking to your mind, and this book is going to help you to understand how to hone into that, how to listen to it, and actually take the proper life path that's meant for you. Very fun read, very deep, very emotional. This is truly one of my favorites to actually go through. I would reread this one just for fun, to be honest. Last one on our 0 to 1 list is going to be The Courage to Be Disliked. This was a very big favorite for mine because I always struggled with what other people thought of me, and I always felt like I needed permission to really be my true self. So if you struggle with what other people think of you, or kind of like social settings, I had a lot of social anxiety when I was younger, this one is truly going to change your life by the time you finish it. The book is very easy to get through. It's also technically fictional. It's a conversation between a boy and a philosopher. Very fun, very easy read. This is easily the most liberating book, where it's going to feel like it's taking weight off your shoulders and you can finally breathe again and just be yourself with no excuses. All right, once you've gone through those books, which is probably going to take you a really long time, now we're on the 1 to 2 section. This is where you're really understanding yourself, the reality around you, and how to operate in a specific way to get what you want out of life, most importantly. The 1 to 2 process is more about action. It's more about now really setting that foundation, because we already dug down and set the tone for what we're going to be building. Now we need to actually get the math, get the schematics, get the blueprint, the architecture ready so we can build that proper foundation to start building up. And the first book that's going to help us do this is called The One Thing. This book is incredibly important if you struggle with focus and you always find yourself kind of multitasking, never really getting things done, especially if like time management is a big issue for you. This one's going to help a lot, and it's really going to help you master productivity in a very, very simple and easy way. This one's super strong. The next book on our list is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This one is insane. Basically, the best way to explain it is if you kind of feel like you're a pussy right now, this is just going to instantly snap you out of it. If you struggle with discipline, consistency, or motivation, this is going to be the book for you. Very entertaining, solid read. It's not too hard to get through, and I mean, David Goggins is just an insane man. It's a very interesting book, and you simply need to read it. Next on our list is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is going to help you understand what success truly looks like. It's a book that kind of is all-encompassing. It's going to teach you basically everything you need to know, and now that you've leveled yourself up a little bit, this book's going to be a lot easier to understand, but most importantly, a lot easier to actually apply because you're kind of at a higher level now. A must read. You can't skip this one. This is something my kids are going to have to read as well. Next on our list is Atomic Habits. If you struggle with bad habits and there's truly things that you just cannot kick, you've tried to give certain things up, certain addictions, you can't get past them, this book is going to be massive for you. This one's also going to be extremely powerful in just helping you recreate a new identity through habits. Habits are essentially the compound effect live in your life. The things you do every single day are compounding consistently over years and years and years, so you're either getting better through your habits or you're getting worse at an extreme level. You can't skip this book, another massive one. All right, we're getting into another cliche book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You really can't skip this one again. All of the ones that I'm mentioning are very powerful, so make sure you're reading them. If you struggle socially and you can't really relate with people, or all your social interactions feel like they're not that strong, or you just feel like you don't have a way with people, this is going to help a ton. But the real deep success that's in this book is that anything you want in life is behind a human being. If you want to buy a nice house, a nice car, you have to talk to the real estate agent, you have to talk to the car salesman. You have to be able to build connections with human beings, or you're not going to be able to get what you want out of life. Just having money is simply not enough. If you're some antisocial nerd who can't really talk to people, people can't relate with, they don't think you're funny, they don't think you're fun, they don't see any personality within you, you're just some rich guy, you're really going to struggle throughout life with having no real connections, no real people to call on, and honestly, a lot of people just aren't going to like being around you. So understanding this book is so key. Next up on our list in the 1 to 2 section is the 4-Hour Work Week. This one is so cool to show you the leverage that you can really unlock with life. And what I mean by that is how to really create businesses that are self-sufficient, that make money on your behalf, where you don't really have to work on it. This is that really key factor where people say don't work in your business, work on your business. That comment is going to be understood once you read the book. It's going to teach you about hiring people, how to leverage other people's work so you can achieve what you want, and really just unlock abundance in financial, location, and time freedom at a very high level. Also a pretty short, easy read. Next up, our last one on the 1 to 2 section is a book by Ray Dalio called Principles. This is another book that's very all-encompassing. It's extremely powerful, but what I like about this book is the author. Ray Dalio is a very logic-based person. He's very just logical. He's a deep thinker, he's a critical thinker, and his perspective is very interesting to read. This book is the perfect way to end stage 2. It's really going to be the nail in the coffin of helping you understand the world around you, yourself, and how to truly tackle life and actually get what you want out of it. It's a lot like Think and Grow Rich, but the logical side of it. Super essential book. You'll really come to love Ray Dalio after you read this one. All right, we are now on the 2 to 3 stage. This is where you really have an understanding of yourself. You've hopefully mastered a very high value skill. You're making a lot of money. You have team members, and you're really just achieving the life that you've always desired. Those things don't have to be accomplished to be reading these books, but if you've read all the ones up to this point, then you're going to be ready to go from 2 to 3. These books are really powerful. Some of them are going to be hard to understand, and if you haven't really achieved too much out of life, they're just not going to be applicable mainly. You can still understand them, but you're not going to have like a to-do list of things that you can directly apply into your life now, so they're not going to be as useful if you kind of haven't gotten to that level yet. First book we're going over is my absolute favorite in this entire video. It's also the most powerful book that I'm going to be going over, and that one is Reality Transurfing. Look at this bad boy. Very interesting colors, very just interesting book. It's massive. I think we're looking at around 900 something pages. Okay, looks like it's just under 800. I'll be honest, I don't really even know how to explain this book. It's the most powerful thing I've ever touched. It's honestly at a biblical level of how valuable it is, how strong it is, and how just unbelievable it is, to be completely honest. If you've truly finished this book end to end and you actually understand it, I genuinely think you're going to become limitless. There's nothing you can't accomplish. This book goes over everything you can think of how reality actually functions, how we actually function, how the mind functions, and it's just a completely different dimension of understanding that you can apply to your life. It's unbelievable. My kids will without a doubt be forced to read this one. Jumping into the next book, we have 48 Laws of Power. This is a book that a lot of people recommend to beginners, but I honestly think you kind of have to be a king and have a kingdom to be able to read this book and understand it. This book is about power, and if you do not have power, if you don't have any means of achieving power, you haven't built yourself up to that level, like I said before, there's just going to be nothing to apply. Like, yes, you can understand it and it might help you gain power, but it's really just not going to be that fun of a read to get through because none of it applies to you and you just can't resonate with the book, which I think is going to make you have a lesser understanding of it when you actually read it and go through it. This one is kind of similar to Reality Transurfing in the sense of how much power is within it, but nothing really tops Reality Transurfing. Must read. My kids will also be reading this one. Next up, we have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is another beginner-friendly book, but I'm putting it at the end because this was essentially the most powerful man in history. At his time, he was definitely the most powerful man in the world, and to see how incredibly humble he is, incredibly real and authentic, is just insane. This book is essentially his personal journal that someone publicized. This was not supposed to be published, and I really just can't explain how cool it is to read this book and get this guy's insights of life, knowing how much power he had and how easily he could have been just corrupted and awful. It's a crazy book, but I also think you need to kind of build yourself up as a man before you read this one as well. So we have 3 more books in the 2 to 3 section. The next one is Lords of Easy Money. This is going to teach you how money truly functions by understanding the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is what controls the US currency, but it's also controlling the entire world. This is going to show you that the financial system and basically the entire reality that we live in is a complete scam. It's also going to show you a lot about macroeconomics. This is a good book to read once you have a lot of money in the bank. Now you need to really understand what money is and how it actually functions. The next book on our list is Creature of Jekyll Island. This is very similar to Lords of Easy Money, but this is going to be way more in depth on the Federal Reserve and just how insane this financial scam is that we all live in. It's incredibly corrupt. This is going to show you a lot of depth of how the world actually functions, what money really means. It's just an insanely powerful book. It's kind of hard to get through, but the value and the understandings that you get are going to change your life. Alrighty guys, thank you for being patient. This has been a long one. This is the last book that I'm going to recommend if you're really at that 2 to 3 stage and you've built yourself up properly. And that last book is going to be The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. This is a book that goes over economic powers and world leaders and how they kind of rise and fall over time. In this book, it illustrates that US is on a decline and China and a lot of other countries are on a rise to become the next world power. And when you're getting to the point where you have millions in the bank and you want to really understand, where am I going to live? Where am I going to put my money? And you want to start getting set up on multiple passports and kind of truly break free from this rat race, from this matrix, and have location freedom at the most like masterful level, then you're going to need to understand the world powers and how this game of the world actually works. Who's playing it? What are the rules? So you can properly navigate it and live a life at the maximum level, keeping your money safe, keeping your family safe, and being in a location that is actually going to suit you based on the longevity of how power is going to function throughout the world. Very, very unique book. If you're at the early stages of your journey, you just don't really need to worry about this stuff yet. But that is going to wrap up the 21 books that are going to help you make your first $1 million. I hope you guys have truly gotten a lot out of this. If you feel like you need some help starting your journey, I have an 18-hour free course that I will link in the description that goes over everything I think someone needs to know to make their first $1 million online. We go over manifestation, we go over spirituality, we go over vision boards, which I have one back there. We go over daily affirmations, dopamine detoxes, and most importantly, I teach you how you can actually make that first $1 million through dropshipping and e-commerce, which is how I made my first $1 million. I also have a private community group where I go live in there once a week. We have a whole team that's going to help you and actually handhold you through this entire process. So if you really want to make that first $1 million, you want some help, you want some guidance, the free course and the private community are going to be the best place to be in to make sure you have motivation, accountability, a network of people that are going to actually help you, and most importantly, you know the path ahead and have that navigation system to help you get through it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm truly wishing you guys the best on your journey throughout 2024, trying to make that first $1 million. I promise it's extremely possible. I'm rooting for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.